Going to the United States is no longer the greatest opportunity in the world. Today, the greatest opportunity in the world is online. Studying crypto, it was going to come back. Decided to really start focusing on building businesses online. Ended up doing $1 million in revenue in e-com, creating wealth, multiplying wealth, and then I cashed out at $59,000 Bitcoin, which is the preservation wealth.
Where does that whole entrepreneurial spirit come from?
I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a computer. I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have any of these things. I was that poor. I got a paycheck for $800. I'm like, what the f? Like, I just worked 2 weeks. I don't want to work for somebody else. And I just decided to create the delusion of abundance. Today, you have access to what I like to call the digital gold rush. If you have access to the internet, you have access to a phone, you can tap into this global financial ecosystem. The internet doesn't care your skin color, your history, and as long as you can provide value, it will reward you. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm the most delusional guy in the world, I'll tell you that's for sure. Making money online is not just the single greatest opportunity of our lifetime, it's the single greatest opportunity in human history.
Luke, I want to thank you very much for coming on the podcast, my brother. This has been a long time coming. I'm glad we are finally sat in person together, finally meeting for the first time and on a podcast, which is sick.
Thank you for having me, brother. It's a pleasure.
So we were just discussing content and the whole strategy. You only started content, you said, in late 2022.
Yeah, I started October of 2022.
And you've blown up massively. You're everywhere. Every podcast you go when you get views, all your social media clips get views, anything you put on Instagram gets views and clicks. What was your strategy behind it?
I mean, the first thing is you need to be somebody worth following. And I think that that's one of the big issues that people have is they want to be somebody else and they look at somebody else's strategy. They see what somebody else is doing and they assume that that's going to work for them. One is, are you worth following? Two is, are you authentic?
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I've been able to do this content thing and still maintain my businesses and still be able to maintain a level-headedness when it comes to content is I'm me. Whether I'm me in front of the podcast or me outside of the camera, I'm myself.
Yeah.
So when I started making content, I wanted to be somebody I was proud of. And I'm not perfect by no means. I have a very long way, but that's the journey of progress. And I'm super happy to be able to display that on social media. But when I started creating content, I was like, hey, like this is the type of person that I'm proud of. And then obviously mastering short form distribution. I'm one of the short form distribution masters in the world.
Yep.
There's probably about 4 of us in the world that have really been able to master short form distribution. I learned it from a guy in China that does about 50 billion views a year. He's kind of like the OG of short form because everything that rolls out on TikTok rolls out 2 years prior in China. So TikTok shops, for example, I think it was 2022.
Okay, so everything starts there.
Everything starts there
and brought over to the rest of the world.
So in 2022, we started kind of getting glimpses of what TikTok shops was going to be.
Yep.
So I launched a store on TikTok shops. We did $1.6 million in a month. But all of this is based off of being early and understanding that China's always ahead of the game. So China, I started seeing a lot of these influencers say, hey, I'm not doing long form content anymore because I have to kind of surrender to the algorithm. I have to post thumbnails in a certain way. I have to clickbait people. And I'm like, that's not my style.
Yeah.
So let me just create mass distribution systems. And we've been able to generate over 2 billion views in 2023, which is pretty crazy. Over 9 million followers, third largest creator of all time.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool. So yeah, happy to be doing this content shit, bro.
Yeah, thank God, bro. Thank God. So when you came on there, as you said, authenticity, what was the message you wanted to leave out for the world?
I think the most important thing is to become the best version of yourself, to become and achieve your fullest potential. So many people limit themselves based off of what somebody else has told them they are, based off of the limitations of their parents, their teachers, their education, the system. But you can truly become whoever you want to be. And I wanted to push this message of hope. And I wanted to push this message of if you work hard, if you are consistent, and if you dedicate yourself to a worthy ideal, you can become whoever you want to become.
Yeah.
And I've gotten messages from thousands of people all around the world who are truly changing their lives, whether developing better physiques, whether making more money, whether reconnecting with their partner and having better relationships. And it's being an example to people. An example doesn't mean you need to be perfect. And that's something that I'm really clear about. I'll show my flaws. I say some crazy shit. I do some crazy shit, but I'm me. And through that authenticity, it resonates with people and people resonate with truth, right? People resonate with truth.
Of course, yeah.
So when you understand something to be true, when you know the truth and you resonate with it, you don't have to kind of convince somebody into your lifestyle. They see it and then
they like it.
They like it and then they fuck with it. They resonate with it and then they adopt it for themselves. And that's kind of what I always tell people. Hey, don't judge my words. Don't judge my actions. Don't even judge my lifestyle. Just test it out. Just test out going to the gym a couple times a week. Just test out having a whole foods diet. Just test out building a business online. Just test out actually investing and going to networking events. Go and build relationships. Go find mentors and see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, perfect. You can then go back to your 9 to 5. You can then go back to university.
Well, at least you tried it.
These things will be there. But the last thing you want is to live with the what if and never have actually pulled the trigger because, somebody told you out there how something was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been working out very well.
So before you came online, were you always this guy of trying to be the best version of yourself?
No, not at all. Not at all. So my journey started in Argentina. Grew up there. At the age of 16, went to the United States with $200 in a suitcase.
By yourself or?
Well, my uncle was a pilot.
Okay.
And he actually got me a seat in what's called the jump seat, which is where the flight attendants sit.
Yeah, it sounds like you're about to jump out of a plane.
Well, the thing is you basically can get free travel and things like that when you work for an airline.
Yep.
So I had my free flight. From there, worked all sorts of odd jobs from pressure washing basketball courts to cleaning toilets. Eventually went to a couple universities, dropped out. University really wasn't for me. I wanted to start a business, went and tried learning international business. And I tell people, my international business professor had never been overseas. So it's like, okay, when you start evaluating what's important when it comes to building relationships with people from different cultures, different languages, different backgrounds, there's more to it than a textbook.
Yeah.
So I was like, why am I sitting down with this dude that is in learning from him? Sure, you can teach me macroeconomics, microeconomics. You can teach me finance. You can teach me tax. All these things, I get it, completely understand it. But I can also learn that on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn from somebody who had experience. Started moving all over the world. 6 months out of the year, I spend in hotel rooms. I've been to 60 countries. I'm 28, right?
Yeah, damn.
So I'm in a situation right now where I actually have been becoming an online entrepreneur. So I invest in companies all over the world, whether it's in Singapore, whether it's in Malaysia, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in the US. My portfolio is very vast, and that perspective would have not been achieved had I not been able to break free from the illusion of, hey, I have to go learn from a specific person who doesn't have the actual experience. They just have a degree, which doesn't mean much when it comes to business.
Not at all, yeah.
Eventually, in 2016, I heard about Bitcoin. I was waiting tables, and my fellow server was like, hey, have you heard about Bitcoin? We were talking about the stock market because the stock market was starting to get hot. I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, you should look into it. It was $588. I run, get my credit card, Wells Fargo credit card, and buy my first Bitcoin on Bitstamp.
But what was your first initial thought when you heard about it, though?
I just was trying to make some money.
Okay.
I was just like, hey,
did you not necessarily
I didn't understand that the blockchain. I hadn't read Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin white paper or the entire perspective of what it meant to live in a decentralized financial system. I was clueless. I just knew that I wanted to make money. That led me down a rabbit trail of making money online. So I started with e-commerce. Started with drop shipping because when you don't have money, you basically want to arbitrage things. Yeah. Not only that, I also was flipping Instagram usernames. So, a couple of these sheiks that you see around with 4-letter handles, 5-letter handles, I would try and finesse them, sell handles here and there, arbitrage that, would build up meme pages or theme pages and then flip them and sell them to businesses when that kind of was hot and doing well. And then meme pages and theme pages would hit me up and be like, hey, we'd like to run a promo on your page. I'm like, okay, sounds good. And it was really funny because they're like, okay, we want to pay you for a promo. How much? Oh, a couple $1,000s. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. But then I saw how many sales they got and how much traffic it was generating for them. I'm like, okay, maybe I should figure out what they're doing. Yeah. So let me just start drop shipping. My brother bought a first course for $1,997 from this Asian guy. And I started learning drop shipping. From there, participated in 2017, 2018 crypto bull run. My portfolio absolutely crushed. But then I fell for the trap of, at that point it was HODL. Okay. That's where the HODL message came from. In 2020 was the diamond hands, right? Yeah. And the wag me, we're all going to make it. Yeah. But the 2018 was HODL. Yeah. But I got absolutely decimated because I held it the entire way down. But I knew at that point I was studying crypto. I was really involved. I was in the trenches that it was going to come back. It was going to bounce back. So I decided to double down on e-commerce, really start focusing on building businesses online, and ended up doing $16 million in revenue in e-com. Damn. Did pretty well. Met one of my mentors who's now my business partner inside Capital Club, Steve Tan.
How old at the time then?
was like 23. I don't know, whatever. I'm 28 now, so just do the math.
Yeah. Damn, yeah.
It was doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But it was because I met one of my mentors by the name of Steve Tan, who'd done 9 figures in e-com. He was posting $6 million a month screenshots, and he was absolutely legit. And I contacted him. He flew me out to Phuket for one of his masterminds because we connected, we became homies. And he pulled out his phone one day and he showed me an $111,000 day on Shopify, real live. Like it wasn't the screenshot where you have to figure out, is this person lying to me? No, it was real. And I'm like, okay, there's possibilities, there's potential. He had manufacturing, he had warehouse, he had supply chain connected to all of that. That really changed my mindset, took me to the next level. I mean, he was selling on eBay in 2006. So he's like an OG of e-com. And now he's the president, he's the CEO of Capital Club. I'm the president. We became business partners and kind of are building the network there. But that led me to investing into DeFi in 2019, 2021, 2020. And I owned a 1% supply of a very popular token known as PancakeSwap, which was absolutely revolutionary. And it did extremely well. I bought it when it was a $25 million market cap, put in $250K, wrote it to 2.6 billion, obviously sold on my way up, made a little bit over $5 million on that play. And that just changed my entire perspective. So it was creating wealth, multiplying wealth. And then I cashed out at $59,000 Bitcoin, which is the preservation wealth. And obviously during the bear market, continued building Capital Club, which is my network and my organization that invest in companies, that invest in entrepreneurs, phenomenal experience. And now pretty much full-time investing in crypto companies, private equity, and obviously my Capital Club organization.
See, that's a great way to introduce yourself. A man who's heavily indulged in building generational wealth by the looks of it, right? But I want to go back to Luke Belmar as a kid, because coming to the US and hustling and bustling your way through life, where does that whole entrepreneurial spirit come from? Was it always there from the beginning, or did it only come in when you landed in the US, when you had $200 to your name?
The thing about South America and Central America, there's a lot of hustlers and a lot of entrepreneurs. Not everybody can get a job. Not everybody can actually go and get a white collar job at an office. You'll see it. There's a big entrepreneurial spirit in South America and in Central America. So it was always in the back of my mind, I want to do my own thing. But the entrepreneurial spirit, I don't know if it was an entrepreneurial spirit, but it was always a spirit of, I don't want to work for somebody else. I remember I had a job for about 2 months. It was a desk job. And I had to walk to work because I didn't have a car. So I would walk about an hour. I would go in, I'd clock in. First of all, they would tell me how I would have to dress. Then they would tell me, hey, how I was supposed to behave and what I was supposed to do, which is fine. Like if you're working for an organization, you're supposed to comply. I get it. There's rules. But it wasn't for me. And then after 2 weeks of work, I got a paycheck for $800. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I just worked 2 weeks for $800.
Just this,
For $800. I was like, okay, let me go to Walmart. I go to Walmart, buy some groceries, spend $160, pay for my rent, which at the time was just a room, $350. I had no money left. I had no money. I was like, I cannot do this. So I instantly quit that shit and started figuring out how to hustle and make my own way. And then at that point, I went from working a desk job and in the US, which for a lot of people, they may not know, you can actually get and make a lot of money waiting tables because it's a tip-based system. So that's where I learned how to talk to people. That's where I learned how to upsell so that people would get more expensive drinks or they would get the appetizers. So just to make the bill kind of go up because you have the standard 20% tip.
Oh, it's 20% across the bill.
Yeah, that's like the standard of like what people would consider
a good tip sort of
a good tip if you have good service. So I was like, I was learning how to make my money. I ended up working at high-end restaurants, made my way to Washington, D.C., worked at high-end restaurants, and the bills would be $700, $800, $1,000. I would close a $1,000 table, I'd make $150, $200 on tips. I'm like,
that's a lot of money for
this is real money because I get to take it cash. And I would take the money cash, I would deposit it into the ATM, and that would be my Facebook ads for the next day or my investment for crypto. So that cold hard cash that I would have was my kind of exit into being able to hustle my way to where I am today. It's pretty good.
When you found out your I suppose the first real hustle, which was dropshipping, you were still working at the time.
Absolutely.
And the money from the work was getting funneled into dropshipping.
Yes.
Okay.
So whatever I would take from the tips, half of it would go into our dropshipping ads because my brother was waiting tables at the same time. And then the other half would go into dumping it into Bitcoin, dumping it into ETH.
So this journey, is it all been with your brother as well?
Yeah, I mean, I was sleeping on his couch, you know? I remember getting my first contract when I started doing Facebook ads for companies on Wall Street. They would pay me $8,000 to $9,000 a month. I was still sleeping on his couch, paying him $200 a month just to sleep on his couch. And that's how I started. I already had a 6-figure income because I was getting all these deals, running Facebook ads for these companies because I got really good at it. And yeah, we kind of been hustling from the beginning together.
Damn, man. What would you say is the biggest mindset shift or habit you've had to create in those years for you to be in the position you're in now? Right, let's take a quick 30-second break from this podcast to tell you about today's sponsor. Now, if you're like me and constantly looking for ways to invest but still want to use your money on a daily basis, TrustXPay has you covered. TrustXPay is the offshore crypto card for high spenders, so you can spend without having any limit. And it's simple. Load on your USDT or up to 30 different cryptocurrencies and spend them with a Visa Platinum card. And with AI monitoring crypto prices, TrustXPay ensures that you get the best rates for your transactions. And here's where I'm doing my bit and covering you guys. By signing up through CEOCAST, you'll get a dedicated accounts manager to help you manage your sign up. So if you click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen right now and use the code CEOCAST, you can get 10% off your joining fee and 50 USDT. Once again, use the link in the description, use code CEOCAST or scan the QR code on the screen right now so you can get 10% off your joining fee and 50 USDT. Now let's get straight back into this episode.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that it's possible because you can create your reality. The perception that you have of the world, if you think there's only scarcity, there's no opportunity, that's how you are going to interact with reality. If you think that there's abundance, if you think that there's opportunity, then these things will manifest themselves to you. So you have to believe that you can, right? And the way that you believe and the way that you can get to that state, because a lot of people are like, I have a lot of doubt. So do I. I have it all the time. Even if at these levels, right? You're doing 7-figure months. Dude, there's people doing 8-figure months. That's hard to fathom. That's hard to imagine. Yeah. But it's still possible.
Yeah, of course.
Is it difficult? Absolutely. But it's a mindset shift. So it's a mindset shift. 1 of, hey, it's possible. 2, it's an abundance mindset. You can either have a delusion of scarcity, which most people are like, hey, it's not possible, or this is not a reality. And I get it. Our lives are so far. We're sitting in a suite in Dubai right now. Yeah. How old are you?
26.
Okay. I'm 26. We're 28. This isn't normal. This isn't normal. So like, I get it. Like I get it. The people that are listening and watching and they're like, bro, is this actually real?
It's funny though, because to us it's normal because we've lived this for a while.
Because it's become the reality that we've created.
Yeah.
Because it's the mindset that we've been able to determine, achieve, and establish.
Yeah.
However, for the average person, they may not see it. And I get it because you have to have a delusional mindset.
Yeah.
You have to be so far out there to believe that it's possible. Because I assume you come from the trenches just like me.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the same perspective. It's the same perspective. It's like you grow up, people are broke. I look at all my high school buddies. They're working very low paying jobs. Some of them committed suicide. Some of them are divorced. Like, I get it. Like, life isn't easy, but you can create the delusion of scarcity or the delusion of abundance. And I just decided to create the delusion of abundance, that it was possible, that I could make more money, that I could build better networks, that I could actually provide value to people. And as time went on and I gained more experience, and as I became more developed, these opportunities began to show themselves to me. And what I tell people is that money is a lagging indicator of success. Money doesn't come right away. You have to be able to put in the hours and the work and have the mindset of a CEO and have the mindset of a boss
to do so.
To be able to say no to the paycheck, because the paycheck is the instant gratification of your labor. The CEO is the last one to get paid. The CEO is the one that takes the risks, but no risk, no Ferrari. And we know this to be true. If you want to win the game of life, if you want to take it to the top, you have to be able to sacrifice who you are today for who you want to become. And for a lot of people, they may just be comfortable with their 9 to 5, and I completely get it and I validate it. If that's what you want to live and if you're happy, so be it. But I'm willing to neglect the money in the short term and not get that paycheck just because I understand that if you plant enough seeds in due time, you will reap massive rewards. And it worked out.
I say that to everyone, man. It's not just about getting the money as quick as possible. It's about building the mindset, building everything around it first before you get that money. Because you're only going to get that money once you've built everything in your head first. And then eventually it will start paying off. I want to ask you something, right? I've never been to America, whether it be North or South. But I remember in my English classes in school, they always used to tell us and teach us about the American dream. The American dream of people wanting to hustle and people wanting to become rich, but they're always constantly trapped into this system. They're always constantly never going anywhere. They're not living the dream. They're not being able to achieve the Ferrari. Now, you being brought up in South America and then heading to North America, how much of that is the truth?
It's no longer true.
Really? Okay.
And I'll explain why.
Go on.
What the US gave me was perspective. But today, going to the United States is no longer the greatest opportunity in the world. Today, the greatest opportunity in the world is online. Let me explain. The US government considers there to be 5 domains of existence.
Yep.
Space, land, sea, air, and digital space, which is the internet. They consider it to be a domain. The year is 1848. In the United States, in the Eastern colonies, there's rumors being heard and rumors going around that in the North American River near California, they had found gold. The California gold rush. As soon as the president confirms it, 300,000 migrants moved from east to west with the hopes of finding gold. However, they had to deal with thieves, dangerous terrains, wild animals. But unlike 1848, today, you have access to what I like to call the digital gold rush.
Yeah.
Which is, if you have access to the internet, you have access to a phone or a computer, maybe some free AI tools, you can tap into this global financial ecosystem. And as long as you can provide value, the internet doesn't care your skin color, your religion, your background, your trauma, your history, your belief system. If you provide value, it will reward you. And I see kids making tens of thousands of dollars a month flipping sneakers online. I see kids online making money in crypto. I see kids online making money providing agency services, going to a restaurant being like, hey, I'll charge you $2,000 to run your Instagram account. And they're making money.
Yeah, man. I mean,
it's a new opportunity.
One thing I could say on it as well is there's a massive surge right now of short form content, and you get a whole load of people making a whole bunch of money online, just chopping up clips
Absolutely.
Of podcasts or yourself or Tate or whoever it may be. And they're making so much money like that. But similar to what you just said there about people moving from the East Coast to the West Coast, and they had to, overcome the thieves or the obstacles along the way. On the digital age, would you say there's any problems of the sort like that?
No. The resistance is so minimal. I mean, think about it. Let's say there's crypto projects that exist. A lot of them need community. This is what I was telling somebody recently, so I'm going to use it as an example. They have the tech, they have the devs, but they lack community, they lack marketing. Why can't you go be in, it doesn't matter, I don't care if you're from Nigeria, I don't care if you're from Nepal, I don't care if you're from Malaysia, Paraguay, Mexico. You could go and moderate for one of these Discords for $500 a month.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Go moderate for 5 of them. Bring one of your buddies. Give them 20%. Go moderate for 10 of them. Oh, well, you can't? Okay, perfect. We're not going to get paid. But you can make a lot more money online because, dude, these companies have a lot of money.
Yep.
So you'd be surprised how much help these digital businesses actually need. So all you have to do is 1, identify opportunity, 2, become the person that solves that by becoming good at what you do. You can't be just full of shit. You have to be able to actually provide value.
Yep.
And eventually you'll get compensated. 2, you can build a good reputation online as somebody that's trusted. So now the internet also gives you access to a digital resume. So people validating and vouching for you. It's a phenomenal experience. I mean, I generated 2 billion views. That's worth something. But instead of taking the deals, I just decided to build my own businesses with my own influence.
Yeah.
But the opportunity is vast. With TikTok shops or TikTok shorts and the ability to go viral online, you can just take a drop shipping product that you see winning, go order it, cost you $5 to $10, maybe $20. Start posting some clips on it, see if it works, see if it goes. And I've been able to do $1.6 million through organic traffic and e-com with TikTok shops. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm the most delusional guy in the world. I'll tell you that's for sure. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but if I have the delusion of abundance, and I think that is better than having the delusion of scarcity. But no, I think the resistance is pretty much a mindset resistance at this point. It's never been easier to make money. It's never been easier to be wealthy. I mean, when I started in 2016, bro, 8 years ago, this idea of making money online was taboo. It wasn't necessarily
talked about like that.
It wasn't seen the same way. Today, making money online is not just the single greatest opportunity of our lifetime. It's the single greatest opportunity in human history.
Yep.
Because like I said before, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you look like. You have the ability to succeed if you can provide value to the marketplace.
For the first time in the world, no one has to go out and hunt and fight for their lives for a piece of gold. The gold's right on the screen on your phone.
I have moderators. I have moderators from Pakistan. I have moderators from Palestine. I have moderators from all over the world. People that work in my companies. VAs from the Philippines making 3-4 times the salary that they would working a normal job in their countries.
Yep.
The opportunity is vast.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing out there. So if you had to start from fresh right now, what would you do? What's the step-by-step process? Because I'm trying to look at this from a perspective of someone who's looking up to Luke Belmar, who wants to get into the digital space, be rich, be in a position as you are in yourself. What's step one?
Seneca famously said, only the educated are free. So this isn't a game about getting rich or a game about getting wealthy. It's about becoming free. That's the first step. If you go into something being like, oh, I want to make money, I want to extract value instead of providing value, you already lost the game. You're in the wrong mindset because the name of the game is provide value for an extended period of time and eventually you'll get rewarded. So instead of saying, hey, what can I do? Let's talk about mindset shift. Let's talk about perspective, which I think is a better topic of conversation. How do you identify opportunity? I think the formula to make money and to basically guarantee your ability to make money in perpetuity is in 3 simple steps. One is whatever niche or skill or avenue in business that you want to pursue, it needs to be in high demand. You can't go into something that is no longer relevant.
Yep.
So whatever you're going to select, whether it's TikTok shops at this point, whether it's starting an e-commerce business, whether it's getting involved in helping in the crypto space, whether it's building a personal brand, it needs to be in high demand. 2, you need to be irreplaceable. In an era where artificial intelligence is sweeping the world and where a lot of white collar jobs will be eradicated in the next couple of decades,
Of course, yeah.
you need to be irreplaceable. So you need to figure out what's the human touch and the human factor that you can incorporate.
That a computer can't.
Like look at copywriting. Okay, copywriting, you can utilize AI and you can utilize bots to come and help you, but they can't necessarily close the deal for you. So maybe instead of learning copywriting, you learn sales, right? And then you get a prompt engineer. So you need to be irreplaceable. You need to be in high demand. And finally, you need to be the best at what you do. These are the 3 ingredients for success. So you need to be the best at what you do. Now AI gives you access and tools and the ability to really be at a God tier level when it comes to a lot of these white collar jobs. In fact, sometimes you see these anonymous posts on Reddit saying, hey, I've officially become an accountant for companies overseas and, I'm just using AI tools and they're paying me just if I had a certificate or just as if I had a degree, and it works extremely well. So if you're in high demand, if you're the best at what you do, and if you're irreplaceable, you can always find a way to make money. So instead of going into specifics, it's more so building the frameworks in order for people to develop how to think. But like Seneca said, only the educated are free. So you need to educate yourself as to what is in high demand, how to become the best at what you do. You can't just fall into becoming the best. It takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication into becoming irreplaceable. That is the key. That is the mindset shift that people need to establish.
What was your education like growing up as a kid?
Spanish and English school. That's why I've developed really good linguistic skills in English.
I was going to say, because you speak very, very well. Similar to like how Tate speaks. Like there's no stuttering, there's no there's none of these buts or nothing like that. And you're a very smart man, obviously, to be where you are right now. So I'm trying to understand, what was your education like as a kid?
Yeah, my parents blessed me. At the time, it wasn't a blessing, but it was 6 hours of Spanish school and then 3 hours of English school, 5 days a week. And I've been in the United States for over 10 years now, so I've kind of been able to shift that into one of my dominant languages. I did the whole programming and what's your dream job? The perfect question to ask an 8-year-old. But yeah, my parents just blessed me with allowing me to go to an English school.
And now it's got you to a point where you've got Capital Club, right? So let's break this down, because I'm not too familiar myself either. So what is Capital Club exactly?
So the year's 2019. I'm making money with e-commerce, but I didn't have a network. I didn't have a relationship with a lot of entrepreneurs. I was very focused on my own thing. I went through a period where I got scammed. Almost $1 million was the situation. We'll go into it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody to turn to. It was probably an easy problem to mitigate, probably an easy problem to solve, but I had no network. I had no connections. I only had money, but I was kind of a loser. So I said, okay, let me launch a network. At that time, I launched Capital Club 2019. I launched it from my bedroom. But at that time, I was already known in the e-commerce space because, I was posting screenshots of e-com and people already respected me in the space. So at that time, it was just an e-commerce community.
Yep.
But then the bull run rolled around. I said, fuck building the community. Let me just close it down. So I closed Capital Club down for 3 years. At the time, it had about 7,000 members. Most of them were just in the e-commerce space.
Were they paying members or?
All paying members.
Okay,
yeah. At the time, they were paying me $40 a month. I was one of the first people to ever launch
paid
communities in the entire world. I saw it as a new meta. So prior to any of these other ones that you see rolling around the internet, mine was one of the OG ones. And then I reopened it last year, 2023 in October.
Yeah.
I had over 650,000 people on my wait list. I decided to open it up. Every day people would compete to join Capital Club. And we allowed 369 people to join for $369. So for $1 a day, because that's all I had at the time when I was poor, I would invite entrepreneurs for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That's all I could afford. So for less than the price of a cup of coffee every single day, you can be part of an online community, a digital community of entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs in business, entrepreneurship, biohacking, and finance.
Yeah.
Today we have over 30,000 paid members. It's only been open. I closed it again in December just because of the high demand and because I've been focusing on my investments, but it'll be reopening next month again. And my wait list is about 250,000 people. I'm going to bump up the price a little bit because $1 a day is a little bit cheap. So maybe $1.50 a day, maybe $2, something like that. But yeah, it's a great community. It breaks down into 3 aspects. First one is the academy. This is where I bring experts from all over the world to teach in 4 niches: business, entrepreneurship, biohacking, and finance, which I believe to be the 4 pillars to becoming a successful entrepreneur.
Yep.
The second one is my marketplace. So I go and partner with different companies from around the world and offer my members discounted rates.
Okay.
So my goal there is for people to be able to pay for their memberships for free and not have to have any expenditure just by utilizing services, whether it's third-party logistics services, whether it's 50% off on the Shopify subscription, whether it's getting access to lounges around the world. It's a marketplace that's curated for the members.
Yeah.
And then finally, it's the network. So I do physical events and digital events all over the world.
Yeah.
I've done physical events from Amsterdam to Dubai to Singapore to Paris to Miami to New York City.
This is like the one you done with Jordan the other week.
Yeah, so the one that I did in Jordan the other week, I posted a story. It was a meetup for Capital Club members, and it was also, I did it in partnership with Jupiter Exchange, which is a crypto project that I'm involved with, as well as Telegram Open Network. I'm a marketing advisor for them.
Yep.
And I did a collaboration between all of us with a 2-day notice. 1,600 people showed up in Dubai.
Damn.
1,612 people showed up, which is absolutely bananas. It's absolutely crazy to think about.
Having that many people around in one place in Dubai.
Well, it's because of the internet.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised.
What the hell's going on? Yeah.
So it's a place where people can connect, exchange phone numbers, do business, share what it is that they do, and materialize these digital relationships into physical experiences. So between the academy, the marketplace, and the network, just really being able to connect everybody together, it's a great experience. And then for the high tier entrepreneurs, people doing 7, 8 to 9 figures, we meet together once every single year in different places in the world. We've done Mexico, we've done Mallorca, Spain, we've done Singapore, we've done Phuket, we've done Bali, and it's sold out for 2 years from now. It's already booked out.
Yeah.
But that's for like the higher tier people because obviously they want a more exclusive experience.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So we get together.
Yeah, and it's interesting you do that because even when I look at companies like Bugatti or Ferrari, Lamborghini, the high-end brands, what they do is they invite their customers who buy their products from them directly to experiences across the world. So Bugatti, they might invite their customers to a racetrack down in the south of France or something like that. So these brands with such high influence and magnitude, they're the ones that are really, really engaged with, wanting their customers to come on board and see this is what we're doing, this is what we're up to, sort of thing. Meeting up with other people. I think it's a great thing as well to have an entrepreneur place because, as you said there, that's something you would have wanted when you were starting out on your journey as well.
Correct. I built Capital Club for myself. I didn't build it for anybody else. I built it for me. And I built it into something that I needed when I was getting started, when I was either an aspiring entrepreneur, a developing entrepreneur, or even right now, you'd be surprised. Like people pay a lot of money to be part of high quality networks. People pay a lot of money to be in rooms with top dogs. And if you can curate that experience and you can facilitate that, it puts you in a really good situation.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who I literally just done a podcast with now, he hosts masterminds, and people pay up to upwards of $10,000 per mastermind just to get into the room with people. It unlocks a different type of mindset when you get in the room with someone else who has great ideas, and then you just get back and forth. By the time you leave that day, your brain is fired up and you've got 10 billion different business ideas. That $10,000 investment is now going to make you $100,000.
And you'd be surprised. A lot of people, what they don't seem to understand on the internet is that not everything can be found on the internet.
Yeah.
This idea that you can find everything on YouTube is simply not the case. Yeah, you could find an interview by a couple billionaires, and yeah, you could go find some great wisdom. But what I've come to realize about the world is that it's a pay-to-play game. Like, you have to pay your dues.
Yeah.
For example, in Puerto Rico, you have the Ritz-Carlton Reserve. The membership is $100,000. So in order for you to get into the club, in order for you to be part of the club, you just use the amenities. You don't get anything for free. You just get to use the amenities and get in.
Yeah.
But the people that are in there, you know that they're the real deal. They paid $100,000.
Yep.
So you'd be surprised. You're sitting with 9-figure entrepreneurs. You go to the jacuzzi and there's billionaires sitting there. They're having a good time. People are like, no, there's no way billionaires are there. They must be doing other shit. I'm like, no, like, there's billionaires hanging out and chilling, just like you're chilling. They've just been able to build and accommodate their lives in a better way.
Yeah.
And it gives you access. So you have to pay for access, just like you would pay to sit in a first flight or in a business class,
business suite or something like
whatever
that.
it is. And the people that you get to interact with, or the caliber of people, are extremely different than the people that are sitting in coach. It's just the name of the game. You pay to play, and it's the name of the game. It's just how it works. And it goes for the same thing with, like, when you buy nice watches or when you buy nice things. It's not because these materialistic things are part of your identity, but you realize that the more you level up your character, right? The more you level up your ability to get into certain rooms.
Yep.
It's going to give you access to new information, new people inside of your network, and it's going to open up your horizons as to what's possible in life. Dude, I sit down with a lot of high tier entrepreneurs, people that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year in sales, and I'm mind boggled every time because anytime that they talk, like, it's just pure wisdom. It's just game. It's just information on how to level up. And what I love about wealthy circles, when people have a lot of money and it's a collective group and money is no longer kind of the driving motivator, there's a level of defense that's been lowered, right? So it's like, it's no longer the question, does this guy have something that he's trying to extract from me?
Yeah.
It's very much like, let's give. And everybody's just sharing the information. Everybody, not every room, but people are just sharing information. People are sharing connections. People are sharing access to different opportunities. And that's what I've come to realize is a massive cheat code in the video game of business.
Yeah, a lot of people in together. Those people that you're talking about who do like 100 millions in turnover, do they have social presence?
Some of them. Because a lot of them don't.
What I've found as well, the people who I've met who have been on the same sort of lines as that, never have any social presence. They've got traditional businesses or unconventional businesses, and you meet them in the most random ways, and then you get hanging around with them. Those are the type of situations where I think to myself, no one else can meet you or learn your stuff from YouTube. It's only a case of, I have to be in a room with you or have to know you in person to get your information.
Exactly.
Which is what I think the crazy thing is.
Well, that's what I do inside my academy. I go to people that don't necessarily have social presences, and I'm like, hey, I want you to come and teach sales, marketing.
Yeah.
I want you to teach logistics, team management for an hour. Just come and just spit game for an hour. So we have over 150 hours of Netflix grade premium quality content inside of Capital Club. My goal there is to compete with Masterclass. Have you heard of Masterclass?
I believe so, yeah.
But the issue with Masterclass is I don't want Gordon Ramsay teaching me how to make scrambled eggs, right? It's not gonna benefit me in any way, shape, or form, financially or in my business. So I've decided to redesign that format, but just be massively packed with business content, entrepreneurship, biohacking, and business. So it's pretty dope.
What is biohacking exactly?
So biohacking, it's in the word. Bio means life, and the hacking is basically reverse engineering. So reverse engineering life and figuring out the areas in life that need improvement. So for example, okay, you go out partying and you drink, you get dehydrated. Okay, well, what's the formula to rehydrate? What's the formula to detox? What's the formula to make sure that your kidneys are healthy? Perfect. That's a biohacking cycle. Okay, you want to go into a situation whereby you want to reduce cortisol levels and you want to reduce stress. Okay, well, maybe you want to just jump into the cold plunge a couple times a week so it spikes your cortisol levels, and then you can, throughout the day, be very stoic or very mellow or calm-minded when it comes to making decisions.
Yeah.
Or you want to detox in general and just hit up the sauna with infrared and be in a good situation there. Learn some grounding, learn about a fluoride inside of the water that calcifies a part of your brain known as the pineal gland, and which kind of dumbs you down, makes you stupid, and doesn't let you develop your awareness.
Yeah.
So biohacking is about reverse engineering life and figuring out how to optimize it for peak performance.
So the best way as possible.
Correct.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you like challenges and stuff like that? Because just before this podcast, earlier today, I'm going to tell people how this podcast was come about. Luke said, let's go for breakfast and then jump out of a plane, right? That's the most random thing anyone can ever do. And for you to jump out of a plane, we were talking about this off camera before. The first time you jumped out of a plane and done skydiving was 3 days ago. Such a spontaneous decision for you to do. I want to know your thought process as to why to do these things. Is it to challenge yourself and face fears? Because you mentioned you got a fear of heights, or is it just something that was on the bucket list?
Just because you're afraid of something doesn't mean you're going to neglect yourself from experiencing it. And you'd be surprised. You jump from the sky, and like I told you, if you're in a roller coaster situation and you're looking down and you have that G-force gravity just shoot you straight down, your entire gut's going to fucking go up and you're going to feel that crazy sensation.
Yeah.
But when you're jumping out of a plane, you kind of glide your way down, right? So it's not like this idea of you're just straight falling, you're gliding. And the surreal experience is all your problems, all your difficulties, all your challenges, for the next 45 seconds, they don't exist. It's just you in the sky experiencing flying in the basically whatever form that exists and doing dope shit. Life is about experiencing life. I don't want to neglect myself from experiences. That doesn't mean that I'm going to go do crack cocaine and go sleep with a prostitute, right? By no means. But what it does mean is that I'm going to be in a situation where I want to experience healthy things. I've gotten to the place in my life where thankfully I have enough money where I can experience these things.
You can do so, yeah.
So it's like, why wouldn't I? Why would I neglect myself from experience? Because I'm a little bit scared. I'm like, okay, I go to my instructor. How many jumps have you done, bro? 23,000 jumps.
23,000 jumps.
So I'm like, okay, like I'm in good hands. The likelihood of him dying on this jump is pretty minimal.
Yeah.
So let me just jump out of the plane.
Was it thought ever in your head of like, what if?
No, who gives a fuck? I told my girl, and I told my brother, hey, my crypto keys are yours. If anything ever goes south.
If I don't come off of this plane.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Damn, man. Damn, that's crazy.
But we're going to jump.
We're going to jump.
It's going to be a good experience this week.
I'm going to think about that one still.
No, you can't think about it. You just have to jump. That's the whole point. And then you're going to experience one of the most blissful experiences in existence.
So I was just going to ask you this. So obviously there was fear going up there for yourself, yeah? As you had landed now, parachute's always come out, you've gone on the ground. What was it? Amazing feeling? Or
amazing feeling.
Yeah.
Because it's a blissful experience that how many people in human history, not nowadays because it's quite common, but in human history can say, hey, I was flying in the sky. Very rare, 13,000 feet up in the air. Yeah. It's an incredible experience. Anybody that has, fear of heights or is insecure, double thinking about it, consider it.
Face your fears.
Face your fears. I mean, most of the incredible things in life, whether it's in business or in your existence, they're on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
They're on the other side of doubt. They're on the other side of that, that anxiety that's holding you back. And a lot of it is just, the fight or flight response that we kind of attribute to surviving. And the reality is that a lot of it is just an illusion.
Yeah, man. I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine not too long ago, but we was talking about something along the lines of we're so accustomed to the fact that we have fears and we're just constantly running away from them and we're not facing them straight up. And if we did, where would our lives be? For example, jumping out of a plane is one of them, but that now you just face the fear of heights, or tackling a business problem might have been a fear of something. But now when you face it straight on and you tackle it, where can that lead you? So I brought this up to the point of the fact that when you face these obstacles in life, how much further does it actually get you? Because I'm sure you probably had many obstacles in your life as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that the highest points of return are always in the highest points of risk. Like high risk, high reward situations. I remember last year I told my community, hey, I'm rotating my entire crypto portfolio out of crypto. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? This was previous to the bull run. And I'm investing 10% of my net worth into meta stock when it was at less than $100. Now it's at $500, right? So people were, shitting on Meta and saying, hey, they're investing too much money into the metaverse and losing money. It's like, okay, what do you think Mark Zuckerberg doesn't know how to play a chart? Do you think he doesn't know how to persuade people and use the right keywords and say AI when the AI boom is happening in order to spike the charts? And so mass market frenzy, mass market panic. That's when the best opportunities are found. You need to be able to do what the 99% are not willing to do in order to have what the 1% have.
Yeah, that's an incredible statement right there. And you must be analyzing risk and opportunities every single day, right?
It's all of it is risk reward ratio. Everything is risk reward ratio. I don't gamble, right? I don't go to the casino. One is because the odds are always against me.
Yep.
Two is because it's either an all or nothing type play. I'm not saying, certain things like roulette or poker where you have a situation where you can kind of manage your portfolio, or blackjack, but it tends to be a zero sum game. Like if you miss that gamble, you lose your entire chips. In the markets, you can play spot positions and your market portfolio may go down 10%, 20%, 30%. Doesn't mean you're going to liquidate your portfolio. I always tell people never use leverage, just because leverage is a situation that is another form of gambling.
Everyone says use leverage. People I've spoken to, they all say, leverage.
Yeah. I mean, I would never recommend it because that's a very easy way to go broke and a very easy way to determine and build a bad habit. There's 3 ways that a person can go broke. A man can go broke in life: leverage, liquor, and ladies.
I was just gonna say the ladies one for sure.
So you need to be able to control those 3 aspects. You need to be able to control addictions. You need to be able to control your gambling and your risk, and then you need to be able to control your.
So you said right there, liquor. Now Dan says you mentioned that you don't drink.
I don't drink.
How long for?
Many years.
And that's purely because you just want the whole mindset.
It's my biohacking kind of, and I'll indulge in certain things, but it's just not, I don't like how it makes me feel personally. I don't like being out of control. I don't like being in a situation. If I can be happy without alcohol. Yeah. People are like, I need alcohol in order to party. Do whatever you want.
I've said that the whole
It's your body. It's your thing. I don't care.
Yeah.
But you also have to look at the fact that not every alcohol, first of all, it's poison, right? So your body's you're just fucking yourself up. So if your form of having fun is to inject yourself with poison and to, be drinking poison, okay, like perfect. That's just something that an idiot would do. So if you want to be an idiot, like that's fine, like respect. But just know that you're an idiot. Like it is what it is. And I remember I was with Tristan Tate and we were drinking, right? We were drinking and like it was crazy. It was a crazy day, but I was in a situation whereby it was like, okay, like it was in the moment. I was in for it. I think that was the last time I drank, actually. It was a couple of years ago. Yeah, I got fucked up with Tristan.
You went to the house, right?
Yeah. It was a good time. Yeah. Good guys.
How did you meet them?
Online. So Tate had some issues with his social media presence. So he would come to me and I would kind of facilitate some services that would enable him to remain online. Yeah. And we just built a business relationship. We did business online, and as work rolled around, I was hosting an event in Albania with the head of the central bank for Capital Club. He hit me up and he's like, hey, come over. And I'm like, okay, let me take my cameraman. It was the first vlog I created. Luke Belmar visits Andrew and Tristan Tate.
Yeah, saw that. Yeah.
Did over 3.3 million views. And I'm like, hey, maybe I just do this content thing. So ever since then, I kind of been rolling.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. How many, like from you coming online and having a social presence, doors must have just been opening left, right, center for you, right? Yeah. Tell me about that sort of experience.
Influence.
It must have made you richer as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, my portfolio now in crypto, just from like deals, is over 20 million.
What do you mean deals? Like just partnering with coins?
Yeah, not partnering with coins. It's projects being like, hey, we need advisory when it comes to distribution of content, when it comes to marketing. And we want to invest in your systems and we want to invest in learning these things. So they're willing to pay a lot of money because they have a lot of money. Yeah. But I don't do any of these like, I'm not for sale, right? Yeah. You can't pay me to tweet or you can't pay me to talk about something. It's not how I work. I don't need the money. Yeah. But the opportunities have come in multiple formats, whether it's connections, whether it's just building phenomenal relationships with followers, just a lot of smart people, being able to hire people that want to come and work for me simply because they know I'm around, or simply people willing to pay for the skills that I've developed simply because I'm readily available on the internet and I'm the path of least resistance for them to learn that skill. So it's been working out extremely well.
Another thing you said there was the fact that an addiction can also be in the form of ladies, right? Now, I've never had a issue with this or a problem with this, and I understand that you also have a girl, right? But have you ever seen men on their downfall purely because of women?
Absolutely, all the time.
Yeah.
They're a distraction. Many times they're a distraction. But just like, to women, men can be a distraction. Women can be a distraction to men. I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they utilize their time, energy, and attention towards pursuing short-term relationships or, in order to gratify their sexual desires. And even though I sympathize with it and I completely agree, it's also a distraction. So if you want to pursue your fullest potential, you can't be out here sharing your time and your energy with toxic relationships, with one-night stands. It simply doesn't work. I've been with my girl for over a decade, ever since I was broke. And she would drive me to work, So we built a really good relationship, a good friendship, great bond. And, I don't need, there's plenty of beautiful women in the world. You'd be surprised, the DMs are full of girls all the time hitting you up. But
Especially if you're traveling around the world, yeah.
But what is it that they want? And that's at the end of the day, like
the lifestyle.
Do you want me to pay for your lifestyle? Do you just want me to take you on a trip? It's never something to give to me. It's very much a selfish hook towards something that they want. So I'm not entertaining any of that. It's not my cup of tea. And I know a lot of people like to do their, red pill, go sleep around with a new woman every single day. And that's their lifestyle. They can do whatever they want. I've just been able to hone in my craft, focus on developing myself. And that's why at the age of 28, I'm farther than most men will ever get.
No, I rate that, bro. And being with one woman, I rate that highly as well, because I'm not on that red pill thing of go sleep around with different women and all that sort of stuff. At the end of the day, you're Christian, right?
I'm a follower of Jesus. I don't like using the label Christian because, different people have different perspectives with Christianity.
Yeah. So I'm a Muslim and we believe as well, shouldn't be sleeping around and all that sort of stuff and anything. So I kind of want, it's kind of almost like personal advice, but I'm pretty sure there'll be other people asking as well. When you've got a woman by your side throughout your entrepreneurship journey, how do you make that last? And how do you make that, in the times when you're busy and you've got so much shit to do, you're traveling the world or whatever the case may be, how do you make sure that relationship still lasts? Because there are women out there who'll be like, Luke, spend more time with me, do this, do that, we never go out, blah, 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 the whole lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You want your woman to want you, So first of all it's
not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. Most women, they don't want all of your time, but women need to be constantly reassured that they matter. So you could go and hang out with your girl for 20 minutes and give her full undivided attention instead of taking her to the movies, spend 6 hours and think that that's building a relationship. Women want to be reassured that they are important in your life and they want to fight for that first place. That's a woman that actually cares. 2 is communication and boundaries. As much as I love my girl, I have things that I need to do, right? So there's different priorities at different times. And that's what most people haven't come to realize, is that even in a marriage, even in a long-term relationship, priorities change. If you're broke, cuddling and watching Netflix on the couch shouldn't be your priority. Why? No. It's not because it's a bad thing to do. It's because it's not the right thing. And a good thing at the wrong time becomes bad. Yeah. So the goal is to understand how to shift priorities. If you're on a date and you're having a good time, don't be on your phone because it's just rude. Be fully there, be fully present. But when you're grinding and you're working, hey babe, not right now. We'll connect later.
Yeah, priorities work.
Yeah, and you establish communication. And you'd come to realize a lot of women are more level-headed in understanding than you would imagine, but you also have to go through that process of having that communication and having that relationship that's built on trust. Yeah. 2 is there's no sort of insecurity or no sort of doubt when I'm traveling, doing my thing as to what I'm doing, right? Because I'm very straightforward as to my belief system.
Full trust.
Exactly. And it goes 2 ways. So communication, transparency, and being able to realign different priorities at different times as the world shifts and as different needs arise.
Yeah. You mentioned there just now about the fact that you're a follower of Jesus and not necessarily saying you're a Christian. To my understanding, places like Argentina and Brazil have a heavy, heavy Christian following. or
Catholic, yeah.
Catholic, yeah. So what is your relationship like with God, if there is one, and all that sort of stuff?
You know,
Do you
the Bible, Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." It's not you shall believe in something, or you shall believe what a speaker says on a stage, and then you will force yourself to believe that because you have fear of going to hell, and then that will set you free. No, you shall know the truth. So about building a relationship, I mean, only a fool would deny the existence of a creator. And I just happen to align very deeply with Jesus as God, without going into the entire trifecta of how Muslims think about Jesus.
I was going to say, because
we can go back and forth on this. It'll be an eternal conversation.
Yeah, we can have an argument on the podcast.
But I look at Jesus as the most important figure in human history. I align with his values. I align with his principles. I've yet to hear somebody say something poorly about Jesus, about how he conducted himself, about how he thought about women, about how he thought about society. He was an anarchist against the priests in the temple, and he was an anarchist against the status quo, and he preached love and acceptance and love for God and love for the Father. So I resonate deeply with him, and I've chosen to believe in his worldview, and it's played out extremely well. We can definitely have conversations in the future or off the podcast as to what it looks like at a divine level, whether he's God or whether he's a prophet. And that's one of the differentiations between Christianity and Islam.
Yeah.
But that would be a really long conversation.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That wouldn't be for CEOCAST. Tune in for Godcast coming soon.
Yeah. No, but you know what? I'm not going to question you about it on this podcast. We may speak about it off camera, because I know after you've said that, people are going to say, why didn't I say this back and forth to Luke? But I respect people. But what I will say is you will never catch a Muslim saying a bad thing about Jesus, of course, as you may know as well.
And the thing is, I also think people have a terrible perspective in the West about Muslims because it's been propagandized as a bad thing. But here's the thing, a true Muslim...
Will you tell me, how is it portrayed in the West?
I mean, terrorists... basically people that are out here trying to take over the world and things like this nature, and it's just not the case. But I can tell you one thing for a matter of fact: a true Muslim that practices the Quran and truly believes in it will never screw you over.
Have you had experience with that?
I know it to be a fact, and it's true. You will have a brother for life because it's built in the philosophy and in the way that they believe. So when I do business with Muslims, and I do it with full confidence, because if they're true Muslims, I'm not talking about the ones that say they are, but they're not. By
name and all that, yeah.
But the ones that are true believers, they won't screw you over. And I've had this firsthand experience, and that's why I trust them.
The reason why I bring up the topic of religion is because I present this question to you of, do you believe that this is all written by God and your destiny was written by God, and God's given it to you? Like, do you thank God for where you are right now, or
if we think about a divine creator outside of time, space, and matter, so he operates in past, present, future at the same time, then it makes sense that there is a knowledge as to what is going to happen and what is going to come. But we also have decision-making power. We have free will. We have the ability to choose and determine our actions on a daily basis, what we want to do. God isn't putting a gun to your head saying, hey, you need to come and pray to me. Hey, you need to develop a better relationship with yourself. Hey, you need to stay away from addiction. These are choices that you have the ability to make. Yeah, God may know the future and the consequences of your actions, and he may know the path that is destined for you, but you still have to walk it. You still have to take the steps. So there's a duality between divine knowledge and human nature that has to kind of come and converge. And that's where the journey of faith comes in, where you trust that God has everything under control. But under control doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to be painful. And under control doesn't necessarily mean that life is going to give you exactly what you want. Because what you may think to be good, what you may think to be healthy, what you may think to be right, is based off of your finite human mind and what you know. But God knows everything. So God may test you with things that in the time they may feel like pain and they may feel like suffering and they may feel like hurt, but eventually they'll flourish and they will be lessons that will teach you how to become better, how to get closer to Him, how to deepen your faith. It's very interesting. What I've come to realize is that suffering is the greatest of teachers, and that you look at whether it's the greatest of prophets, whether it's Jesus, whether it's the saints, or whether it's the apostles, and you begin to see their life, and their life was riddled with suffering, which is something that we tend to avoid. Mm-hmm. But behind suffering is the greatest of lessons, and behind suffering is the biggest growth. And Jesus preaches suffering, and he teaches this life of surrendering earthly desires to achieve a higher level of spirituality and closeness to the Father. So I think, I'm still figuring it out. I'm a work in progress.
There's a saying that God says in the Quran, which is, I said it to Andrew as well when I linked up with him back in February, which is, God won't burden a soul with which more than they couldn't handle. There may be something like that in the Quran. There may be something like that in the Bible as well.
Say that one more time.
The exact quote is, "I will never burden a soul of which it can't handle." So I will never bring pain or agony upon someone knowing that they can't handle it. So, for example, let's just say you take a big L in your life. God already knows you can handle it. That's why the L's there in the first place. It's a test of, as you said, of how you come out of that, how that shapes you. Do you go down the wrong path? Do you go down the right path? And also in Islam, it's a test of, will you stick by God or will you do the wrong thing? Do you know what I mean? I've seen friends around me go broke, and then when they go broke, they turn to drugs, or they turn to alcohol, they turn to women and all that sort of stuff. But then I've seen people who go broke, who stay on the path of praying and reading Quran and staying by God, and they're the ones who come out of it.
There's a very good book in the Bible. The Bible's comprised of 66 different books. It's the book of Job. And Job is this man that had everything, had all the cattle, all the land, very successful at his time. And the story goes that Satan approaches God and says, "Hey, I see your servant Job, and the reason he serves you is because you've given him everything. Mm-hmm. You've given him all the land, you've given him all the success." And, God is interacting with Satan, and he says, "Well, what do you think about my servant Job?" "Well, the reason he has what he has is because you've blessed him." And God says, "Well, okay, we'll take everything away except his life. You have my permission." So he strips him of his family. Family dies. Strips him of all his possessions. Strips him of his health. And throughout that entire book, all of his friends, his wife comes and they're like, "You should be cursing God because he took everything away from you." He said, "I can't curse God." He stayed faithful to him. In one encounter, he's praying to God and he questions, "Why is this happening to me?" Mm-hmm. And God answers, "Who are you to question me? Mm. Am I not the creator of everything?" And in the same way, even though I hope not to live a life where everything is stripped from me, the lesson and the moral of the life of Job is that God will test you with suffering. God will test you with challenges. God will test you with difficulties. God will test you with hard times. But that is when the proof of your faith is manifested, not when everything is given to you, not when it's easy, not when times are simple, but in the challenges. Do you curse God, or do you bless him for giving you the opportunity to experience these challenges and experiencing difficulties to become better and to get closer to him? And then the story finishes with God blessing Job with more of everything, which is very interesting. And it's a great story. You should read it.
The reason why I bring this all up in the first place is because sometimes you hear, people get very, very successful. They get the money, they get the fame, they get the women, they get the cars, they get everything they want. And then somehow in the end, they're still lost. And they feel like a lost cause. They feel like their souls just disappeared. They don't know what to do in life. And the common trait that you find within those group of people is that they're not a man of God. They haven't got something by their side to look forward to outside of this life. So It's good to see that you're a man of God, bro. It's good to see that.
It's the assumption that the things of the world are going to satisfy something that is finite, that is something that is infinite. You're an infinite being. You're not bound to this 3-dimensional world. If you're going to try and satisfy your soul with the things of this world, you will always fail.
Yeah,
if you're going to satisfy it with luxury, what the fuck is luxury? What, a nicer watch, a nicer house, more cars, more houses, better food, more women. None of these things will satisfy. They may make you happy for a short period of time, but the void will still be there, because the void is a spiritual void. It can't be filled by materialistic things in the 3-dimensional world. It doesn't work that way. That is why any person that desires to build success, that desires to build something in this world, needs to understand that you take none of it with you. You don't take the money. You don't take the success. You don't take the accolade. You take nothing. But what you will take was your devotion to God in check. What you will take is how you treated other people. Did you love God more than you love the things that God gave you? And you will be tested with these things.
Yeah, of course.
But to whom much is given, much is required. So if God's going to give you a lot, he will demand a lot from you. And yeah, I think we're in our way. It's definitely a journey in a path of self-development. So I'm still trying to figure this entire thing out.
But do you know what, Luke? Yeah, I actually like you a lot. And the reason for this is because, speaking of these whole worldly desires and things that satisfy you, when I go through your Instagram page, there's not one thing in there. There's not one post that makes me think this guy just wants to show off his money. I don't even think there's a picture of a Lambo or anything on there. Though you can afford all these luxuries. Yeah, you got a watch. You like to travel. I see that. But there's no typical thing of when an entrepreneur first gets money, all he does is buy a Lambo, go to Dubai and get an apartment, do this, do that. And the whole lifestyle is on Instagram. You're not like that. And it's a very, very clean image. Why is it that you've kept it like that? Or how have you kept it like that? Because you can afford 10 times more than what any of these fake gurus or people who want to be this guy actually can afford. You know what I mean?
Because none of these things make me happy.
Simple answer.
None of these things satisfy me.
What does?
You know, how many cars can you sit in? One.
Yeah.
How many beds can you sleep in? One. Why would I show off these things? They don't bring any value to people. Sure, I might do some stunt and go buy a supercar with meme coin money. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
But the car it has nothing to do with my identity. It has nothing to do with who I am.
It doesn't represent
my character, nor does it bring any value to anybody. And yeah, I get it. Like, certain people got the lifestyle, and there's ways that the lifestyle sells and it helps you. But I don't want these things to be why people follow me. I want people to follow my content if they choose to follow it, because they resonate with
the message,
and they resonate with the fact that maybe I have something of value to provide beyond just materialistic things. And I've come to realize that usually the people that follow for those reasons aren't necessarily the people that I want following me in the first place. I want people with substance. I want people that are grounded. I want people that love their families. I want people that love God. I want people that are focused on purpose and value and providing for others, because these are the things that matter to me. These are the things that have made me happy. You know, I'll go and sponsor orphans in Thailand before I go and spend money on a supercar. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go buy a supercar, but me talking about these things, it brings no value to anybody. It provides no substance to anybody. Now, on the flip side, I understand the business game. You pull up to a private dinner in a nice car with a nice watch, dressed nicely. You will be taken at first glance with more respect and more consideration than somebody that pulls up in a Honda Civic. As much as the brokies like to say, oh, you know, billionaires don't have cars, or billionaires don't have the Rolls Royce.
There was that cliche thing of Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates of, oh, they're not wearing designer or nothing like that.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Gates, you can look it up. Warren Buffett has 60 jets inside of his company, right? Of course, he doesn't own them all, but who do you think's buying the Ferrari and the Maserati? The poor people? No, it's the rich people. It's rich people toys.
Yeah.
So I understand that game. And I play that game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to play that game in front of my audience, because it's not the necessary source of value that I think is going to nurture them in their careers.
That you want to leave with, yeah. I hear that. What's the biggest challenge or biggest struggle you've had to face throughout your life?
Like I said, believing that you can.
Well, you're saying that's a struggle. And
yeah, I mean, it's a daily struggle. It's because there's levels to the game. Like there's levels to the game. Perfect. We're in a suite, but there's a penthouse upstairs.
Yeah, goddamn. Make me feel broke one time on the podcast.
I mean, think about it. Like the penthouse upstairs, this hotel's probably $8,000 a night.
Yeah.
Somebody's staying there.
Yeah, facts.
Bro, do you think it's empty? No, it's not empty. If it was empty, it wouldn't exist. So somebody can afford it. Somebody has the mindset that, oh, it's rich, it's daddy's money. No, that's cope. There's you look at the royal family here, last 100 years, they built Dubai, they built the Emirates from the ground up.
Yeah.
From the ground up. Like it's not a joke. So these dudes that are absolutely rolling in money, oil money, people are like, oh yeah, oil money, as if it was easy to extract oil from the ground and sell it across the world as if it was some sort of monopoly game.
Yeah.
Dumb idiots that actually have these comments that haven't actually provided any value to the world. You get paid in proportion to the value and the difficulty of the problems that you solve.
Yeah.
So these guys provided massive value. They were able to stabilize the dollar, create the petrodollar with the US government. They got rich in the process. Somebody's paying for the $8,000 penthouse up top.
Yeah.
What's the mindset? What's the perspective? Is it worth it? I don't know. If you're making $100 million a year net profit, you won't really budge an eye. So it's the belief of how to get to the next level in the game, how to get to the next level in your health, how to get to the next level in your relationships, how to get to the next level as an owner of a business, how to make more money, all these things. You know, you make $1 million a year. It's dope. But there's a guy making 10.
Yeah. That's a lot.
There's a guy making 100. And it's a different mindset that takes you from A to B and from B to C. And it's shifting those mindsets and always being grateful, but never being content.
Yeah.
And content doesn't mean that you're always selfish and desiring for more. It's saying, hey, there's more potential.
There's more levels to this life.
There's more levels to the game.
Yeah.
And that's always the example that I use is you're in a hotel situation. You're staying in a nice hotel. Well, there's somebody staying in the suite up top. And that's somebody that has a different mindset than you. And what I've come to realize in the education system is that they teach you how to think like a slave. That's a big one. They teach you how to think like a slave, scarcity mindset, 9 to 5 employee. You clock in, second grade. What's your dream job? That's what they ask you. What do you mean, what's my dream job?
I'm 5 years old.
What do you mean, what do I want to, like, okay, what are you going to say? An astronaut? You're going to think about the craziest thing because you have dreams and ambitions.
And then they want to crush it.
But somewhere along the line, that gets decimated.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, not everybody's going to be an astronaut, but the perspective still stands, which is the programming and the education that the peasant receives is very different than the one that the king receives.
Yeah.
That's why you won't see the elites going to public school. Because the public school is based off of the Prussian school system, which was a school system designed in the industrial area to create workers. That's why you have the bell go off that gives you access to recess, or the bell goes off and gives you access to the break time. And then you have to go down the corridor in a single line, you go down the fluorescent lights and the cement walls, and you have to go to the cafeteria and you have to raise your hand to ask a question, and you better not question the authority, and you don't even know who the authority is.
Yeah.
And then you have to get a hall pass to go to the bathroom, and hopefully the hall monitor doesn't stop you along the way because, well, then you're going to be in trouble. So from the moment you're born, you're put into a system that everything is, I have to bow down to authority, even though I don't know if the authority is right. I can't question the authority.
Yeah.
And
there's no choice.
The bell has to go off in order for me to be able to be validated from doing A to B, from B to C.
Yeah.
All of this is programming. And from the ages 0 to 7, it's called the theta state. And it's the years of programming. That's when they want to get you, because that's going to determine a lot of how you're going to live the rest of your life. So it's all this deep programming that people need to start being aware of and snapping out of this and glitching out of the matrix.
You haven't got kids, have you?
No.
You would want kids one day?
Who knows? Not sure yet.
Let's say you do have kids one day. How would you want them to grow up in the schooling environment?
I want to get to the place where I can raise them myself.
Yeah.
Probably private tutors. Teach them logic, arithmetic, mathematics.
Homeschooling sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The same way that a king would raise a prince, bring private tutors. You look at Alexander the Great; he was raised by and tutored by Aristotle.
Yeah.
By one of the greatest teachers of all time that is still teaching and educating all of us through his literature. But he was in direct connection with Alexander the Great, and Alexander the Great became the greatest conqueror of all time. By the age of 30, he had conquered the entire known world. In fact, he cried because there was nothing left to conquer.
Yeah.
That's a mindset.
That's a mindset you need and want. I'm going to go back to the point where you said about, how you talked about the Dubai royal family once they found oil and everyone's talking about oil money. There's one thing that people forget and fail to mention, which is the fact that you can give anyone money. Anyone can find and discover billions of dollars, right? But it's what you do with it. And the Dubai royal family, they had vision. They created Dubai as we know it, and they brought in a whole lot of more money. So it always goes down to, as we're talking about perspective and vision, where do you vision? Understanding that there's levels to the game. Understanding that there's more to life than what you've just currently found or discovered. And utilizing what it is you found or discovered to unlock more. Which is why I rate Dubai as a city, because they've utilized what they had, what they found, what they discovered, and are taking it this far right now.
Dubai is one of the meccas of opportunity. I said this to you before. I mean, it's one of these places where you come and you realize the capabilities and the human potential. They're making man-made islands in the shape of a palm that you can see from space. That's not a joke. That's human engineering. That's vision. It's a big deal. That's when I tell people, hey, I've been able to make millions of dollars in a day. Obviously not every single day, but there's days where cash out of a company, sell some equity, make $5 million. They're pulling out billions of dollars, extracting billions of dollars of oil out of the ground every single day. There's levels to the game. And once you understand the levels by exposing yourself, traveling, getting involved with network situations, you begin to see how big the world is and how big human potential actually is and how far it can actually take you. It's pretty amazing.
For the people watching this right now, to kind of wrap up the podcast, what would you advise them and what would the message be to them? If you had to speak across the camera and you're talking to 10 years younger Luke Belmar, what would you say to him?
That it's possible. I've said it once and I'll say it again. That the life that you have is the life that you chose. That where you are today is based on the decisions that you made in the past. So if you want a different life, you have to be able to make different decisions in the current present moment. But the life that you envision has been given to you. It's been given to you by God. That dream, that life, what you want for your family, the impact that you want to make, it's not a causality. It's not there by chance. It's there by design. So it's possible. But you're going to have to sacrifice effort. You're going to have to sacrifice long nights. You're going to have to sacrifice bad relationships. You're going to have to sacrifice that 9-to-5 check in order for you to get to the next level. But it's possible. And what I've come to realize in life is that it's risky in general. It's so risky that all of us are going to die. So why not just actually go for the fullest potential and the fullest possibilities that life has to offer you? Expand your horizons, expand your mindset, develop new networks, develop new connections, develop new friendships, develop new business opportunities, study, learn from the best in the game. Go study the mentors of old, go read the Holy Scriptures, get involved in developing your mind, get educated. And in a few years' time, you'll look back and you'll realize you're a completely different person.
Definitely. Luke, I want to thank you very, very much for coming on the podcast. Like I said, we've been waiting to do this for a long, long time, and I'm so glad we can do this right now. And for people who want to follow you, who don't already follow you, where can they find you?
Luke Belmar, anywhere across the metaverse. I mean, if you watch one video, you'll be caught by the algorithm. You have nowhere to go. So
yeah, just indulge in Luke's content fully. Well, guys, I'm going to leave all the links in the description to Luke and myself. And if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. All we do is specialize in business and entrepreneurship conversations like the one you just heard today. So until next time, I'll catch you lot on the next episode of CEOCAST. Every Sunday, 7 p.m. Peace. Lovely. How's that?
Good shit.
Yeah, good shit.
Good shit?
Good shit.
All right, good shit.
I appreciate that.
What'd you think?